Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the board meeting on Tuesday, May 14th. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask everybody to please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Was he standing? He put a hat on.
I'm in my sprint trunks.
Too much information, Luke.
I agree. Adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, has been provided by action of the Board of Education on January 3rd, 2019. Notice has been provided to the two newspapers circulated in the school district and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education Building Bulletin Board, Administrative Headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. May we have a roll call, Mr. Bush, please?
Yes, Miss Matthews.
Present.
Mr. Carlson.
Present.
Mrs. Olson.
Here.
Mr. Puntillo. Dr. Sadie.
Here.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Here.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Here.
Mr. Sergio.
Present.
Mr. Jess.
Here.
And Mrs. Fabrizi is absent.
Thank you. At this time, we're open to the public for comments on agenda items only. There being none, may I have a motion to close that public session, please? Thank you, Ms. Matthews. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. There is no board presence report this evening, other than say, I hope everybody has their snorkels and fins and swim trunks because of all this rain that we have been getting. I feel like a duck. Dr. T.
All right, for district highlights, VDV PS Grade 2, all the preschool classes visited Miss Nancy at the Somerville Public Library, and the students were really thrilled to receive their own library cards. The Vanderveer School once again cheered on the Unity Tour riders when police officers rode past Vanderveer School on May 9th. Not only did the students cheer on the riders from Somerville PD, but also for Detective White, who is the husband of one of our second grade teachers, Adriana White. Vanderveer School students also are participating in the art show at the Somerville Library, and there will be a special reception on May 15th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. for the young artists. For VDV grades 3 to 5, a local Girl Scout troop made up of Somerville Middle School students is working to complete their Silver Award and chose a project to raise self-esteem through kindness among the 4th and 5th grade students. These Girl Scouts have begun their campaign with creating positive messaging displays on the 4th grade girl bathroom stall doors. So inside the bathroom, on the doors, they're doing paintings. They are planning to complete the 4th grade, then move on to the 5th grade girls' bathroom, and then on to the 4th grade boys and 5th grade boys' bathroom. For 3 to 5, the NJSLA, which was formerly Park, the testing has begun at Vanderveer, and our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students completed the English Language Arts portion as of May 9th, and the mathematics portion will finish on May 16th. And in the words of one of our 4th graders, we got this, Mr. Reeve. We are all showing our best work. For Somerville Middle School, SMS celebrated National Poetry Month with a What Lifts You performance of original poetry. Kudos to Mrs. Edelman, Mr. Ciani, and Mrs. Johnson for coordinating the event. The doors of the Comfort Closet have opened and students in need are being serviced. Thank you to all who have donated to this resource. The Algebra 1 Placement Assessment is scheduled to take place on Tuesday, May 14th. All 6th and 7th grade students are welcome to participate. For Somerville High School, on Tuesday, April 30th, the Spectrum Alliance Club participated in Day of Silence. Spectrum Alliance is a club designed to create a fun and safe space where people of all gender identities and sexual orientations are welcome. The National Day of Silence is a day of action in which students across the country vow to take a form of silence to send a message that bullying and harassment of LGBTQ and allied students affects all of us. Mrs. Shelton's 3D art class put on a display of modern figure art sculptures in the high school media center. The sculptures were modeled after a current French artist, Jean-Francois Glavic, though Luke could probably tell me if I said that right or not, who creates these marvelous gaunt and fractal figures on a slightly larger scale. And on May 2nd, Mr. Krombaski's Jazz Ensemble and Mrs. Brzezinski's SHS Chorus amazed spectators at SHS's annual Night of Jazz performance. The night included a variety of different musical styles, and it was a fun night for all in attendance. And for Somerville High School MAPS, on May 2nd, Mr. Kenneth Bond from the Department of Education visited MAPS to conduct a podcast on social and emotional learning practices after the MAPS program was nominated by Mr. Andre Taylor, who oversees SEL implementation for the state. Mr. Bond visited a public speaking class and interviewed several staff members about the comprehensive manner in which SEL is integrated into the daily routine of the MAPS program. And that podcast will be going live shortly. Actually, one of the teachers I was interviewed is sitting in the audience. I will say who. And that concludes district highlights.
Thank you. Moving
Dr.
on.
Dean, très bien.
He's practicing his French.
Right then. Moving right along to board items under finance, I'll turn it over to Ms. Spencer.
Thank you. It is recommended that items 1 through 4 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 1 is the Non-Public School Technology Initiative Program Grant. 2 is the Non-Public School Security Aid Program Grant. 3 is a change order for the partial roof replacement and repairs at Vanderveer Elementary School in the amount of $1,258 for a permit fee. And number 4 is acceptance of a donation from Jennifer Adamick in the amount of $500 to be used for the Somerville Middle School 8th grade dance. And there'll also be a matching donation from the Bank of America to be used for the Eye Care Club and E3 Club to support their activities for the 2019-2020 school year.
Can I suggest that we go all the way to 10?
Oh, yes, because Mr. Reese's not here, yes, thank you.
And items 5 through 10. 5 is to purchase a pickup truck. 6 is an application for the 2019 Safety Grant Program. 7 is to renew the contract with Mascios Food Service, Inc. 8 is to accept the collective bargaining agreement with the Somerville Education Association. 9, field trips and pending travel expenditures.
Thank you. Making a motion on that?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on these items? All right, I'm going to ask Mr. Boyce for a roll call because even though there are some items on here that don't require it, I think that they should have them for various items.
Sure. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
I will abstain on number 8 as my mother is an employee of the district. And yes, I will rest.
Okay. Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Seaton?
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes,
Can I make one comment regarding what we just approved?
please.
I would like, in reference to number 8, I just want to be clear that I've met with Mr. Boyce, and we want to move forward as quickly and efficiently as possible to see that the retroactive and the checks are done. But it's significant work. It's going to take a little time.
Yep.
But we are on top of it. We want you to have your money.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't know, the last time I started, we did something else. All right, moving along to policy, Dr. Saban.
It is recommended that item 1 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. It is the second reading of the procurement procedures for child nutrition.
Thank you. May I have a motion on that, please?
Motion.
Thank you. And second by Mrs. Olson. Is there any discussion on that item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on to curriculum, Mrs. Van Horn.
It is recommended that item 1 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 1 is the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, an unconfirmed case at the middle school.
Thank you. May I have a motion on that, please? Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second? Second by Ms. Matthews. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on to the appointees. It is recommended that items number 1 through 11 be moved upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools. Item number 1, affirmative action officer, Title IX coordinator, Dr. Tanya McDonald, from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, no additional remuneration. Item 2, affirmative action officer liaisons, Ms. Alexandra Laurie and Valentina Carleo, for the period July 1, 2019 to June 20, 2020, no additional remuneration. Number 3, the 504 officer, Dr. Tanya McDonald, from July 1st, 2019 to June 30, 2020, at no additional remuneration. Item 4, the homeless liaison. Ms. Melissa Stager, as the homeless liaison for July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, at no additional remuneration. Item 5, designation of the Public Agency Compliance Officer, Brian P. Boyce, July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, no additional remuneration. Item 6, the designation custodian of school record, Mr. Brian Boyce, July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, at no additional remuneration. Item 7, bid threshold and appointment of qualified purchasing agent. Whereas recent changes to the public contracts law gave the Board of Education the ability to increase their bid threshold up to $40,000, and whereas NJSA 18A:18A-3A permits an increase in the bid threshold if a qualified purchasing agent is appointed, as well as granted the authorization to negotiate and award such contracts below the bid threshold. And whereas NJSA 5:34-5 establishes the criteria for qualifying as a qualified purchasing agent, and whereas Brian P. Boyce possesses the designation of qualified purchasing agent as issued by the Director of the Division of Local Government Services in accordance with NJAC 5:34-5 et sec. And whereas the Somerville Board of Education desires to increase the bid threshold as provided in NJSA 18A:18A-3, now therefore be it resolved that the governing body of the Somerville Board of Education and the County of Somerset and the State of New Jersey hereby increase its bid threshold to $40,000, and be it further resolved that the purchasing agent is authorized to award contracts up to this bid threshold of $40,000 and establish the quote threshold at $6,000 as per NJSA 18A:18A-2, and resolve that the governing body hereby appoint Brian P. Boyce as a qualified purchasing agent for the period of July 1, 2019 to June 30, 2020 at no additional remuneration to exercise the duties of a purchasing agent pursuant to NJSA 18A:18A-2-B with specific relevance to the authority, responsibility, and accountability of the purchasing activity of the Board of Education. Item 8, transfer authority. Resolved that the Board of Ed is provided by NJSA 18A:22-8.1 amended, the superintendent of schools be designated to approve such line item budget transfers as are necessary between Board of Education meetings, and further be it resolved that such transfers shall be reported to the Board of Education, ratified and duly recorded in the minutes of such meeting not less than monthly. Item 9, appointment of the asbestos adherent coordinator, Mr. Jimmy Gabrielle, for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30, 2020. Item 10, appointment of the Integrated Pest Management Coordinator, Mr. Jimmy Gabrielle, for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. And item 11, appointment of the Board Secretary of Mr. Brian P. Boyce for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, at no additional remuneration. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Patil. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Saden. Any discussion on these items? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call for these items?
Yes.
please?
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Saden?
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on, motions. It is recommended that items 1 through 6 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Item 1, designation of official depositories and individuals authorized to sign checks. All the board secretaries, all the banks are listed there, and who is signing them, I'm not go through them. Item 2, authorize establishment of the following petty cash funds. They are listed for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30, 2020. Item 3, designation of the official newspapers, the Courier News and Star Ledger, for the period of 2019 to 2020 school year. 4, transmittal of tax monies. That resolved that the Board of Ed request the following transmittal of tax monies from the Borough of Somerville for the 2019-20 school year in the amount of $24,398,906. Such sum being reported on the certificate and report of school taxes payable August 10th, 2019, $6,099,691.75. November 10th, 2019, $6,099,691.75. February 10th, 2020, $6,099,761.25, and May 10th, 2020, $6,099,761.25. Item 5, authorize the Business Administrator Board Secretary to invest funds and approve wire transfers for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. And number 6, the authorization to certify payrolls. Be it resolved that the Board of Ed authorize the Board President, Board Secretary, and Superintendent of Schools to certify all payrolls for the period July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. May I have a motion on these items?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Any discussion on these items? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call on those items, please?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo?
Yes.
Dr. Sadie?
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
Yes. Moving on to personnel. Kate.
Okay, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of Superintendent of Schools. Appointments and salaries contingent upon verified documentation. To approve the appointment of Christopher Navola for summer curriculum writing to revise the mathematics grade 6 to 8 curriculum at Somerville Middle School, not to exceed 16 hours. Number 2, to approve the appointment of Dana Stoker Jones to the position of volunteer coach for the Somerville Middle School softball team. Number 3, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals for the 2019 instrumental music program at Somerville Middle School, which will run from July 2nd to July 26th, Monday through Thursdays, and then a different time on Fridays. Number 4, to approve the appointment of Dante Ciani for summer curriculum writing to revise the ELA grade 6 to 8 curriculum at Somerville Middle School for not to exceed 24 hours. Number 5, to approve an unpaid child care leave of absence in accordance with the New Jersey Family Leave Act for Elizabeth Cahill, teacher of special education at Vanderbilt School, from September 3rd through January 1st. Number 6, to approve a paid maternity leave of absence for Katherine Johnson, teacher of special education at Somerville Middle School, and that will be effective from September 3rd through September 26th, and an unpaid child care leave of absence in accordance with the New Jersey Family Leave Act, effective September 27th through November 27th. Number 7, to approve the paid maternity leave of absence for Jennifer Mitchell, teacher of 3rd grade at Vanderveer School, effective September 3rd through October 16th, and unpaid child care leave of absence in accordance with the New Jersey Family Leave Act, effective October 17th through June 30th. Number 8, to accept the resignation of Alyssa Malaspina from the position of librarian at Somerville Middle School. Number 9, to accept the resignation of Elaine Ramos from the position of teacher of special education at Somerville Middle School. Number 10, to accept the resignation of Elaine Cochran from the position of part-time instructional assistant at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 11, to abolish the 2 listed positions, secretary of principal PS2 and secretary of the principal 3-5 at Vanderveer School. And number 12, to approve the 2 listed positions, 2 secretaries to the principal at Vanderveer Elementary School. You want me to keep going through 9 through 12?
Do you need a drink of water?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
If you'd like to, go ahead.
All right. Continuing to number 13, to approve the appointment of Trista Miller for summer curriculum writing to create game design curriculum at Somerville High School, not to exceed 20 hours. Number 14, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members for summer curriculum writing for computer science summer bridge program at Somerville High School, not to exceed 5 hours each. Number 15, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals as substitute teachers for the 18-19 school year at the approved substitute rate. Number 16, to approve the appointment of Kenneth Rosario to the position of volunteer for the robotics team for the 18-19 school year. Number 17, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to revise the Somerville High School English Language Arts grade 9 and 10 curriculum, and that is not to exceed 3 hours each during the months of May and June. Number 18, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members for summer curriculum writing to revise the listed curriculum maps at Somerville High School, not to exceed the hours that are also posted for each one. Number 19, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to conduct child study team evaluations during the summer months for a total of 10 days at the per diem rate. Number 20, to approve the appointment of Danielle Zerwicki to conduct administrative duties during the month of July at Somerville High School for no more than 5 days at her per diem rate. Number 21, to approve an extension to the unpaid child care leave of absence for Dana Iannuzzi from April 4th through May 31st to now April 4th through June 30th. Number 22, to approve the appointment of Christine Guerriero for summer health office work at Somerville High School at her per diem rate not to exceed 5 days. Number 23, to approve the appointment of Amy Dolly for summer secretarial work in the health office at Somerville High School at her per diem rate not to exceed 10 days. Number 24, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members for summer work in the guidance office at Somerville High School at their per diem rate. Number 25, to approve salary increases for management confidential employees and those employees not covered under the contract for the 2019-20 school year in a total amount of $57,554 to be individually distributed among those employees as determined by the superintendent of schools. Number 26, to approve the attached list of staff members for the 2019-20 school year. Number 27, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to the position of part-time bus drivers for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Number 28, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to the position of part-time bus aides for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Number 29, to approve the appointment of Andrew Steinmetz to the position of part-time support specialist for the Somerville Public Schools from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 at the rate of $21 per hour, not to exceed 29 hours per week. Number 30, to approve the appointment of Tyler Kaiser to the position of part-time support specialist for the Somerville Public Schools effective July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 at the rate of $21 per hour, not to exceed 29 hours per week. And number 31, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to the position of substitute bus aides for the period of July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 at the rate of $35 per hour. Now I need more.
May I have a motion on those items?
So
please?
moved.
Second.
Thank you. And the reason that we moved all of them at one time is because Mrs. Fabrizi's not here, so we didn't have to specify the elementary, middle, and then the high school, so that's why we, all in one shot. All right, any discussion on these items?
I just want to point out that number 4, Mr. Ciani. I went to the talent show Friday night, and he's got a fabulous voice. He sang with one of the students and did a really good job.
Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo? Dr. Seaton?
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Sergio?
Yes.
Mr. Jess?
I abstain on items number 3 and 31 and vote yes on everything else. All right, moving on to old business. Is there any old business?
Yes, there is. This is probably going to sound silly at this point because we did a roll call vote for almost everything. However, I still have a concern of our not following our own policy with regard to roll call votes. This was an unusual night on this board. I do think that it is important that we follow our policies and the law. And I do feel that it is the one way the public has to hold board members accountable for the things that they're voting on and what their vote is. So I would like again to move that we adopt a policy of roll call for all votes in the Board of Education.
I would like to add, I agree, Linda, with what you're saying about it provides the public with more information. I think it's absolutely fail-safe and foolproof to do it that way. The experience that I've had at county meetings and at state meetings with school districts who find themselves in a bind for something as unnecessary as an all-call over a roll call vote makes me feel like since it doesn't hurt to do it that way, it's certainly safer. I'd also like to mention, Derek, that I have noticed an increase in roll call votes since Linda first expressed her concern, and I appreciate the increase. And I feel like Brian, first of all, is very good at it, and it doesn't really take up a lot more time. So I'm leaning towards erring on the side of caution is my stand on it, really, only because I've seen some sad tales of woe from other boards that, missed a roll call when they should have.
May I have a second on the motion, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? I'd like to thank Mrs. Olson for bringing this up again. She said she was going to, and so... And you did. So I'm glad you did, absolutely. So I'm glad that you did. So, there being no other discussion, I have Mr. Boyce for a... Yes, you did. to do a roll call. Well, we have an odd number, so go ahead, Mr. Boyce.
Okay. Miss Matthews?
No.
Mr. Carlson?
No.
Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo?
No.
Dr. Sadie?
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn?
No.
Mr. Sergio?
No.
And Mr. Jess?
No.
I'd like to make a comment if I can.
I'm going to tally the vote.
Right, the motion does not pass.
I just want to assure that we're following our policies and we're living within the law. That's all that's important to me.
Well, you know that you're not because you've been given the copy of the policy and the law.
I have a hard time believing that we would be led down a path to not adhere to our policies and the law.
And I admit there were times when mistakes were made, but I also admit that there are times when, as I review the policy, there are items which don't require a roll call vote.
Zero.
And so-
I never said that there wasn't.
So I encourage you to keep holding me accountable.
I know you will.
And I'm done. Is there any other old business? That being said, can I have a motion to close old business?
How about Ruth?
Hold on.
How about Ruth?
Oh, no, it's new business.
A new business?
You just call, you call, look old.
Can I have a motion to close old business, please?
So moved.
Thank you. We have it. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. New business?
Yes, Mr. President, I do have something, I have a statement.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first, Mesdames et Messieurs, salutations au Montréal. I am very sorry I could not be there in person, but I felt this was important enough for me to be present, so thank you for having me. No introduction, I'll just go right into the statement. Members of the Athletics Committee met with the gymnastics coach and members of the gymnastics community over the last 2 weeks to discuss the program, the gymnastics program in particular, and how it can be maintained. On May 9th, the gymnastics community presented what we call their gymnastics strategic plan, with the goal of helping to maintain and grow the program through the development of a fundraising arm, community outreach, and flexibility in scheduling. After reviewing and discussing the plan, the athletics committee is proposing to maintain the gymnastics program for the next 2 years. The athletics committee will meet with the gymnastics committee in December of 2019, March of 2020, and December of 2020 to review the progress made and evaluate the program as compared to the goals outlined in the GSP. I want to thank the members of the athletic committee, the gymnastics coaching staff, and community for their time, commitment, professionalism, and transparent exchange of information that contributed to this decision. And that ends my statement, sir.
Thank you. And we had some really great meetings, and I don't really know much about gymnastics other than watching people flip around, but it was, they were good meetings. The kids are great, the parents were great, so we're glad that we can continue this and hopefully continue, as Luke said, our dialogue going forward over the next couple of years. You're welcome. Mrs. Olson? Did you have any new business? I think so.
No, not new business.
Okay. I have two things under new business. First of all, Dr. Teahan provided all the board members with a link to the New Jersey School Board Association website for his evaluation and provided his information, his goals and things like that. So I'd ask everybody, please review them and log on. You should be able to log on to the site. If not late tonight, then by tomorrow to begin the evaluation process. So I'd ask you all to please get on that as soon as possible. And I would like to thank Mr. Frame and the leadership of the SCA for reaching out to kick off our next negotiation session. We're going to have a meeting this evening after the board meeting is over, so I just want to say thanks very much for reaching out and look forward to it. Hopefully we'll get going and get it done sooner than the last one was. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. And-
Derek?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, I forgot what I was going to say.
Not that old.
I know. What did you say before you thanked Mr. Frame?
I was talking about the superintendent evaluation.
Oh, so I was there today, and there is no link. Like, it
didn't work?
I saw the Google stuff
Okay.
that Tim put on, but then I went to the school board, I even logged in. It's not that.
But they were down for a while.
Yeah, they've been down
It's
the whole
supposed to be
weekend.
back up, but
Yeah.
you said tonight or tomorrow, so maybe I jumped the
Okay.
gun. I'll give it another try.
All right. Thank you.
Did you get through on the Google?
Any other new business? All right, may I have a motion to close new business, please?
So moved.
So move.
May I have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. We are now open to the public for discussion on anything.
I'll be real quick. I just want to thank the athletic, Jason Kraska, 106 Vanderveer Ave, Somerville, way too close to the camera. Thanks, Herb. I just want to thank Luke and the athletics committee. I know there was a lot of dialogue and back and forth, and just thank them for, taking into consideration all the gymnasts and parents that came, to the meeting 2 meetings ago and sitting down, taking the extra time out of their day. So, thank you.
Any other member of the public?
I was just going to say, I also went to the iCare program on Friday night, and it was so much fun. A lot of talent in the schools.
Good evening, everybody. Patrick Frame, 201 Scobie Lane in Somerset, New Jersey, president of the Somerville Education Association. And I've gotten several phone calls from Branchburg parents about the newspaper articles that have been coming out, and a lot of people complain about the $500 that was paid to the private detective. I think they'd be really upset about from my calculations from the numbers Mr. Boyce gave me, for the $101,000 that we paid to the lawyer so far for negotiations for this mess of a first draft of the contract. This is despicable. I don't know if you guys looked this over before you actually sent it to me, but if you did, maybe you should up the optical for your glasses. Serious. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Why are we having a meeting later?
Anybody else from the public? No? All right, may I have a motion to close public session, please? Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? So moved. All right. Resolved now that the Board of Education move to recess into executive session to discuss negotiations and legal matters falling within the attorney-client privilege with respect to these subjects. The minutes of the executive session, to the extent permitted by law, will be made available to the public once the issues are resolved, subject to confidentiality requirements. Action may be taken. May I have a motion to go into executive, please? Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're going into exec at 7:33 p.m. And then once we are finished with exec and finished with public, we'll come back and meet with you guys.
That's right.
Thank you.